This video is brought to you by Surfshark. Stick around to hear more about the special offer they're providing to the entire upper echelon community. All right, today I want to take you on a little bit of a narrative journey, and that narrative journey starts with a research paper. It's funny, I went back and forth in my head for quite a while actually on how exactly to start because it feels like most people under the age of 25 now need constant stimulation in order to stay even remotely interested. So, with that in mind, here's the hook. Google appears to be knowingly destroying the internet, and I'm pretty sure they have no intention of stopping. To answer the obvious question here right from the start, yes, I am aware of the fact that it's ironic I'm sitting here using a Google service, in this case YouTube, to lament the fact that another subdivision of Google is threatening the entire digital world. However, this is just what I do. YouTube is the premier video hosting platform online. Competitors have not successfully dethroned it so far and seem to have no shot at doing so in the near future. So here I sit using a service from a company that seems to be openly accepting the fact that they might destabilize human society. Hyperbolic exaggeration? Maybe, possibly. But I'll leave that up to you at the end of it all if you want to tell me that I'm an unrealistic doomer. For right now, though, let's get into the research paper, and don't worry, I'll keep it concise. This is a so far non peer reviewed research paper titled Generative AI Misuse, a Taxonomy of Tactics and Insights from Real World Data, which is super boring. But also, no, it's not, because generative AI is becoming an internet content virus, infecting enormous portions of the online world with no end in sight. If you want an example of this, Facebook would be a great place to start because the content feed is getting completely overrun by AI generated garbage, filling up the social atmosphere with things that aren't even real. There's a separate research paper, preprint, from Stanford and Georgetown universities about how Facebook's algorithm is prioritizing AI generated slop because it somehow thinks that these posts will get more engagement, which then becomes a vicious feedback loop where real people see the fake posts and fall for it, thus amplifying everything even more. It's an interesting read, but I'm not talking about that for today. I'm talking about this research paper for today, which explores in detail how AI is being misappropriated and where it all goes from here. I'll start with a couple of quotes and then explain why it actually matters, because I know a lot of people are probably thinking, that's boring, it's just a random research paper, why focus on it? But oh my sweet summer child, no, it most certainly is not. Here goes. For starters, this is how they describe the most common nefarious usage of generative AI, which is opinion manipulation, followed closely by monetization and profit, as well as scam and fraud. Quote, the most common goal for exploiting generative AI capabilities during this period was to shape or influence public opinion, 27% of all reported cases. In those instances, we saw actors deploy a range of tactics to distort the public's perception of political realities. These included impersonating public figures, using synthetic digital personas to simulate grassroots support for or against a cause, astroturfing, and creating falsified media, end quote. That makes absolute perfect sense, and I've been warning about this for a very long time now. There's a noticeable and dramatic rise in the amount of political propaganda activity on social media for the past 2 years, directly as a result of generative AI, as well as more visceral examples where AI is now being used for unmoderated political campaigning, while experts in the field warn of its impending superhuman persuasion capabilities. But these are topics I've already covered. They're videos I've already made. I'll link some of them down below in the description. And they're warnings I've already given. What's new is that I'm not the only one giving those warnings, and yet Google still doesn't appear to be listening. All right, time to pay the bills by endorsing a product I actually use myself and promote in my free time because of its relative quality, which is Surfshark. Surfshark is a VPN, a virtual private network. Most of you have probably heard the term before. And VPNs protect you from a bunch of different things. Of course, nothing in cybersecurity is ever 100% perfect. Keep that in mind. But Surfshark protects against certain types of phishing attacks, malware, DNS tunneling, DDoS attacks in particular, and also against the new and painfully normalized practice of invasive big tech data harvesting as well as tracking. It doesn't stop there either. Surfshark unlocks additional content on streaming websites, such as Netflix, for example. You can easily change your region and add additional options in your video library as a result of geo-gated licensing agreements. Here's a big one. Surfshark gets around regional censorship, like the government deciding to block things, and Surfshark also offers encryption, IP protection, modification, and more. I say this in every single segment now for a very specific reason. Surfshark operates completely separate infrastructure from NordVPN, and Surfshark also maintains a warrant canary. I won't use or endorse a VPN that doesn't. If you click the link down below using promo code Echelon, you can take advantage of a special community-wide offer with 4 full months for free. Again, that's promo code Echelon with the link down below for a community-wide special offer. Big thank you to Surfshark for sponsoring the channel. All right, back on task. The next paragraph I want to read is this, quote, this research has sought to illuminate the evolving landscape of generative AI misuse and its impacts. While fears of sophisticated adversarial attacks have dominated public discourse, our findings reveal a prevalence of low tech, easily accessible misuses by a broad range of actors, often driven by financial or reputational gain. These misuses, while not always overtly malicious, have far reaching consequences for trust, authenticity, and the integrity of information ecosystems. We have also seen how generative AI amplifies existing threats by lowering barriers to entry and increasing the potency and accessibility of previously costly tactics. End quote. That's pretty on the nose. It's bad, it has far reaching consequences, so they say, and they openly acknowledge that it can affect the integrity of information ecosystems, like YouTube, for example, which is poised to happen very soon in a very damaging way. But who is they? Well, they refers to the authors behind this research, and they are the reason this paper is so interesting, despite being just one of many in a veritable ocean of warnings about the damaging consequences of pushing forward in the pursuit of commercializing AI, which can then synthesize content which is indistinguishable from reality. There's a lot of people warning about it, so why is this special? Let's go in order here. The paper was authored by 6 people: Nahima Marshall, who is a research scientist at DeepMind; Rachel Shu, a software engineer at Google; Rashmi Ilashmer, whose LinkedIn page just says technologist and researcher, but his Cornell bio says currently working at Google; Iazon Gabriel, I don't know how to say his name, I'm sorry, and I also couldn't look up the pronunciation, and I couldn't find one that seemed accurate. So anyway, that guy, Mr. Gabriel, who's working at DeepMind also; Beth Goldberg, head of research and development at Jigsaw; and William Isaac, principal scientist at DeepMind. Right off the bat, multiple of them work at Google, but let's expand on that, because DeepMind, which was acquired by Google in 2014, is quite literally making the software that these researchers are directly warning about. What's more, Jigsaw is actually a subdivision of Google which is dedicated to, quote, exploring threats to open societies, which means that this paper was authored by software engineers and researchers that work at Google, the subsidiary of Google that is currently making their generative AI products, and the head of research at Jigsaw, which deals with threats to society and disinformation. Quote from their website here: as disinformation campaigns become more sophisticated, we're building new technology to strengthen our collective defenses. And yet, I feel like an insane person when I say this stuff. And yet, Google is building the tools which make those campaigns more sophisticated, as acknowledged by their own scientists. So now that we know where this paper itself came from, let's go back and read 2 more sections of it. Quote, the widespread availability, accessibility, and hyper-realism of generative AI outputs across modalities has also enabled new, lower-level forms of misuse that blur the lines between authentic presentation and deception. While these uses of generative AI, such as generating and repurposing content at scale and leveraging generative AI for personalized political communication, are often neither overtly malicious nor explicitly violate these tools' content policies or terms of service, their potential for harm is significant, end quote. That's certainly something and clearly concerning, but it really comes together with the final section. Quote one last time. Likewise, the mass production of low-quality, spam-like, and nefarious synthetic content risks increasing people's skepticism towards digital information altogether and overloading users with verification tasks. If unaddressed, this contamination of publicly accessible data with AI-generated content could potentially impede information retrieval and distort collective understanding of socio-political reality or scientific consensus, end quote. That is insane when you read it from the perspective of Google researchers who work on products like Gemini AI, which are the epitome of contaminating public information. Google is basically force-feeding AI to the entire population right now, with search results that are often hilariously wrong and products that often shouldn't exist, while their own researchers are publicly saying this technology could impede information retrieval and distort collective understanding of reality. For anyone who's lost in the weeds over all this, let me just spell it out super clear. Generative AI is infiltrating every single facet of modern day life, from social media feeds to scientific research. Side note, I covered this exact topic right here, AI keywords increasing in scientific literature, like 4 weeks before all these different articles came out about it. So yes, I'm bragging about that right now. But the point is to showcase that while researchers at the very same Google subsidiary responsible for making this software are warning about its negative consequences on the digital world, this right here is how the company is acting. There's no wrong way to prompt. Yeah, you're doing it. There's no wrong way to
generate an image of a cat playing guitar.
You know I can do other stuff, right?
They literally advertised Gemini in that video before that particular part that I played as a place where you can ask, how do I deal with an awkward social situation? They are specifically advertising the product as a replacement for social capabilities to a very particular younger generation, and yet it gets even better than that. Remember the head of research at their Are We Destroying Society division? Yeah. She posted like 1 week ago at this point about a claimed 3-year deep dive into how Generation Z deals with a trash fire internet, which reads, quote, Gen Z trusted AI assistants not because they provide universal truths, but because they offered local contextualized truths. Gen Z triangulate these AI answers within their social webs. We coined this 360-degree sense-making process information sensibility. And then further down, Gen Z readily use what we call surrogate thinking, or outsourcing information synthesis to a pre-vetted source they trust, like an influencer, with whom they have a parasocial relationship. This enables Gen Z to short-circuit the cognitively taxing process of developing independent perspectives. This is horrifying. On an issue by blindly trusting the surrogate thinkers that they follow. End quote. She is openly stating that Generation Z will think whatever they get told to think and check the authenticity of information within their social circles or social web, while a subsidiary of the company creates technology, like directly creates technology themselves, that they then advertise as a place where people can get answers on social interactions or general behavior. The left hand is setting the house on fire, while the right hand is writing a research paper on why setting fires in your own house is probably a little bit dangerous. It's like I'm living in an intro of a Black Mirror episode or something. This is not going away. These companies definitively know that they are overloading the online world with tons and tons of digital garbage. They are acutely aware of the fact that the tools they are making get heavily used for propaganda, manipulation, and other nefarious purposes. But beyond that, they are also aware that the spam effect of pushing these tools further can degrade the integrity of public information. From everything I personally see, they just do not care. Google's own subdivision in charge of saying don't blow up society is literally authoring research in conjunction with people who work on the AI itself, saying that even though certain behavior isn't technically against their terms of service right now, it might blow up society. And here we are. Gemini continues to get pushed, AI continues to proliferate, and Google is eating its own tail. That's it. Sure, it's just a research paper, you might say, but a research paper authored by the very people working on and responsible for warning about a piece of technology that a mega corporation is spending $100 billion on pushing right now. And it certainly doesn't seem like the company is listening to them. I hope everyone enjoyed this depressing narrative journey. Let me know if you did or didn't down in the comment section. Links are down below to support the video's sponsor, Surfshark, of course. Big thank you to them. Locals and Patreon, monthly memberships. That's a great way if you want to do that. Merchandise, I think it's linked down there somewhere or shows up below the video and more. But I'll cut it there and stop rambling. Tons of videos linked down below about AI in general. A bunch of different projects I've done if you want to see those, all sorts of stuff. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Question everything and have a nice night.